Hi, my name is Elizabeth Richards. My project is called Society Today. My hypothesis is that society views homosexual relationships similar to biracial relationships. So I got together with 6 of my friends. I got together with 2 gay white males, 2 white lesbians, and 2 people that are in a straight biracial relationship. The female is white and the male is black. So what I did was I sat down with all of my subjects separately and had little interviews. I asked each of them 3 questions. I asked them each how they personally felt society views them as a person, and I asked the gays how they felt about how they personally felt about biracial relationships, and I also asked them how they feel society views biracial relationships, and I asked the people in the biracial couple the opposite. I asked them how they personally felt about gay relationships and how they feel that society views gay relationships. So I started with subject A, who is a 28-year-old lesbian and is currently in a relationship with subject B, who is a 30-year-old lesbian, who we will get to later. And they met when subject A was 12 and subject B was 15. So I asked her how she felt society viewed her as a person, and she said that she thinks society views her as a threat, and by threat she means to the traditional ways of raising children and a threat to modern society. She said she feels that society sees her as a gay person and not just a person. I asked her how she felt society views straight biracial relationships, and she said that she believes it's an American culture issue, that biracial couples are not liked because people should only be allowed to have one culture. I asked her how she personally views straight biracial couples, and she said she doesn't mind if other people date outside of their race, but she personally does not. She said she is just not attracted to people who are not white as a personal preference. So then I sat down with subject B, who is subject A's girlfriend, and just to sum it up, subject B feels that society doesn't want to change and that they need to be exposed to more different ways of life in order to be accepting of it. And her opinion is that the only way for society to be accepting of it, of her being a lesbian, is to force it upon society until they have been persuaded and their views of same-gender relationships change the status quo. She is very forceful and passionate about changing society for what she feels the better. I then sat down with subject C and D. Subject C is a 19-year-old gay male who is in a relationship with subject D, who is a 21-year-old gay male, and they have been dating for just over a year. So subject C said that he feels that society is becoming more and more accepting of homosexual relationships every year, and that they're still not completely accepted, but they're getting very close. And I asked him how he felt about biracial relationships, and he said that he knows of a white couple that are in their later 50s whose daughter, when she was 16, was dating a black male at the time. The father did not approve and threatened to kick her out of the house for it, whereas her mother was more accepting because she was raised in a different environment. The father was raised in a small town in Indiana, and the mother was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. So then I had a little interview with subject D, who is subject C's boyfriend. And he said that when he goes out in public, he feels like he does get treated slightly different than your average heterosexual couple, at least when he goes out with his boyfriend, obviously. And he feels that people avoid the subject and that they're more reserved in their heads, and it's a touchy subject. When I asked him about biracial relationships, he said that he feels that people should be allowed to date and marry whomever they want, and it shouldn't matter if the person is black, white, yellow, green, or purple. If a person is in love, then that is all that matters, regardless of the race. If he were to fall in love with a homosexual black male, then it is his decision, and he feels that everyone should respect it. And now on to my last subjects before the experiment, subjects E and F. Subject E is a 25-year-old white female who is in a relationship with subject F, who is a 27-year-old black male, and they have been married for 3 years. So subject E would be the white female. She thinks that the South is definitely more accepting of biracial relationships, which is very contradictory to what most of society thinks. With the history that the South has with slavery, the Southern society, especially the older generations, would frown upon biracial relationships. It is very well possible that this person may just be accustomed to society in the South where she's from, and when she and her husband go up north, she is more aware of her surroundings and pays closer attention to society, because she mentioned that when she goes up north and goes in public, she feels like she's under a microscope with the way people look at her. And she also said that she was against homosexual relationships until her brother and niece came out, which leads to the belief that many people are against it until it comes that close to home, until they're faced with the decision to either accept them for who they are or turn their back on family. Subject F, who is a 27-year-old black male who is in a relationship with Subject E. Subject F believes that raising a mixed child in today's society would be challenging to the child as well as to the parents. It really all depends on how they are raised and whether or not they are exposed to both cultures equally, and whether or not the parents raise the child to accept themselves for who they are. A child being raised by two homosexuals will have lack of either a female role model or a male role model. But how is this any different than a child being raised by a single straight mom or a single straight dad? It is more common for a child to be raised by a single straight parent than a homosexual couple. Now for my experiment, I started with subjects A and B. I followed behind them as the two were holding hands walking throughout the mall for about 10 minutes. Within those 10 minutes, I observed a straight, white, middle-aged woman do a double take when she saw my subjects. I also observed a male small child, aged around 8 or so, blatantly stare as my subjects walked past. When my subjects and I walked into Sears and asked for help finding a good washing machine, the black, seemingly straight male employee was very eager to help. While subjects C and D walked throughout the mall holding hands, I observed many stares from many different races and ages. My subjects walked into Sears and asked for assistance. The young, white male employee seemed hesitant but helped anyway. The man seemed like he wanted to hand them off to another employee instead of helping them himself. While observing bystanders, as my black male and white female subjects walked through the mall, I saw many middle-aged women look at subject E, then quickly at subject F with a quizzical expression. When my subjects walked into Sears, an employee that appeared to be between the age of 30 and 35 immediately approached them and asked them if they needed any assistance. Thinking this would be enough information for this experiment, the couple said no thank you. So after gathering all my information between the looks in the mall and interviewing my subjects, my general consensus is that homosexuals and biracials do get treated similarly regardless of the environment.